so 40% less than it originally was. And I guess this is just an aesthetic choice, but it makes it perhaps look a bit better when you're actually dragging something and something is applied to the drag. So when we're dragging something, we know which item we're dragging. Okay, so that's it for the options for now. What we're going to do now is create another list and actually connect this list with it. So let's go ahead and copy this unordered list and come down and paste it just in here. And I'm just going to call this places instead of names, and I'm going to type the names of a few places. Okay, so now that we've got this list, let's just go ahead and look at that in our browser. You can see that we've got a list here, and we're not unable to sort it, obviously, because we haven't allowed it to be sorted. However, this list is still available to be sorted. Now what we can actually do is inside the selector we can use a comma to actually specify another list we want to be sortable. So in this case it's places. So when we refresh we can actually sort this list here as well. Places. That was a spelling mistake. So now we can actually sort this list as well as this one. However, you'll notice that we can't actually drag this down into this list because it doesn't connect with it. So if for some reason you wanted to connect two different lists, for example lists of options that have been generated from the database or any other lists, and you wanted to actually allow them to interact with each other, for example you might have two different lists like this, and you might want to associate particular elements with the other list, you can use the connect with option in here. Now the connect with option takes as many different elements as you like, and we specify these elements like so. So for example, if we wanted to, as we've selected names and places, we can't really say that we want to connect this just with names, because we're connecting their names with names and places with names. So places will be connected with names, but names won't be connected with places. So you can see that we'll have this problem. We can't drag this into here, but we can drag this into here. So now what we want to do is just go ahead and select places as well, and that allows us to interchange items from each list, so we can move things around. And essentially what I've done here is just switch the contents of the list around. So that's how we use connect with. Okay, so the last thing we're going to take a look at is the events. I'm only going to just demonstrate one event, and that is update. The reason for this is that update is probably the most useful event in terms of if you wanted to perhaps store a list in order that it's been moved around in a database, for example, a database table. There are quite a few events for this sortable interaction. However, I'm just going to take a look at update, how we implement update, how we can display data from this, and then we're going to go ahead and end the tutorial. But then afterwards, go ahead to the jQuery documentation and you'll find a list of other events that might apply to you. So I'm going to comma separate this, and just down here I'm going to go ahead and set the update event, and this is going to be equal to a function. Now inside this function is what's going to happen when the event has taken place. So I'm going to say sorted. Now update will actually only update is the event that essentially happens when we move something, then we let go, and then when the element is updated, so when the list has been updated. So if we refresh the page, you can see that as I move this just below here, as soon as that's sorted, we get this alert box sorted. Now this is the reason I'm looking into the update option, update event, and showing you this only for the simple fact that if you wanted to sort a list and then store the list the order that it's been stored in, this would be the event you would use. There are other events such as when the dragging of each element starts, etc., but we're not going to be taking a look at them just yet. Okay, so now that we've got this update function working, we're not going to alert, but what we're going to do is we're going to grab the contents of the div that's or the list that's just been updated, and we're going to display it just down here in a div. So inside index.php, I'm just going to come down here and I'm going to create a div here, and I'm going to call this sort status. So now inside UI.js, we're going to grab the contents of the list that we've just sorted into. For example, if I was to move that to there, this list has now been updated, so we can display the contents of this list. If I was to move this here, then we can display the contents of this list, so we can update each list accordingly. So let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to say content is equal to, and I'm going to select this dot text. Now this dot text is going to take the current text that's inside of here minus the tags or the HTML elements themselves. So now what we can do is go ahead and apply this to the sort status div. So sort status dot text content. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just go ahead and drag something. You can see that now we've got Billy, Alex and Ashley, which is the order that this particular list is in. And then again, if I was to move that up there, it would be the same, it would update it. If I was to move an item down here, we would then have Billy, London and Sheffield. So we're essentially just returning the list in its text format, depending on which list we've currently dragged into. So this is a particularly brief overview of the sortable interaction in jQuery. However, it's not mainly used in terms of actually sorting lists. It's more like menu options. For example, if we had these li elements instead and didn't have an unordered list, these might be divs for example, menu options down a page, or forum categories. It could be absolutely anything, and you could use this sort status, this sortable interaction to actually sort particular lists. You could also then, in here, once the update has been complete, update a database with the order that the user has placed these lists in. I'm not going to be covering in this tutorial because I've just taken a basic look at some of the options and one of the events available to Sortable. However, if you do need any more information, the jQuery library has everything you might need. So if you are wondering how you might do a particular thing with this, you can go ahead and look that up. But for now, this is just a basic overview of sortable list interaction in jQuery.